Good evening and welcome to Game Super Cast Deluxe. John, how you guys doing tonight? I'm getting tongue-tied with my words. I'm so excited to talk about Summer Games Fest with my two very good friends, Sam Tolbert and Sarah LaBeouf, and also my castmates tonight, Jeff and Justin. Hello, everyone. How is everyone doing tonight?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Everybody's doing good. Awesome.
I think I'm alive in my mind's eye.
What does everybody think of our new look? Before we're toying with some new stuff, kind of making a new fresh start of it. So hopefully everybody
Very ominous. Like
With the
I feel like I'm in danger.
like.
The background is it's spooky, right? It's a little spooky.
So
I don't think that's a bad thing. It's good. But
let me go ahead and spoil the suspense. That is actually the title screen of Final Fantasy VI with the logo removed.
Shocking.
Raise your hand if you're surprised by this development.
Just so everyone knows that like 10 minutes ago, John's like, all right, worked really hard on a new look, so don't worry, the Final Fantasy background is gone.
Hey, I said the Final
background.
Fantasy. Hey! I said the Final Fantasy 1 background is gone. I didn't say anything.
You weren't wrong.
John, it's literally what we thought you were going to do last week. You just did it this week.
Well, you know what? I like to surprise. I like to. Whatever.
You're keeping us on our toes.
You're right. Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Before we go any further, what is everybody drinking tonight? I made some cardamom simple syrup the other night, and I put it into this old fashioned, and it's fucking delicious. It's fucking awesome,
good.
Dude.
Good.
In my unemployment since I left government, I have been learning to make delicious jams and syrups. I don't know why I have decided to do this, but I need something to do with my time. And making delicious foods and sauces is... No, Jeff, please.
Sorry. I don't know if anyone's seen Parks and Rec, but immediately what popped in my head is the Ben Wyatt, could a depressed person make it like John with a jar of jam?
Listen up. Could a depressed person make the strawberry jam all by himself? Is this what a depressed man does? Could a depressed man sit at the stove for 30 minutes and just slowly watch the simple syrup boil and think, this is what my life has come to? Does a depressed man do that? No, I say. We have some very good friends on the podcast tonight. I want to introduce first our friend Sarah LaBeouf, a journalist who has worked for multiple different outlets. Sarah, I'm so happy you're here. It's been way too long since you've been here.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. I'm sure it's going to be a lot of chaotic fun with aside bad opinions.
It's going to be... speaking of bad opinions, are we doing our Bad Opinions podcast next year at PAX again? Is that going to become a recurring thing that we're going to do? Awesome. I like it.
I'm going to pitch it again, and everyone's invited back. For those of you who are not at PAX East, we turned John's, penchant for bad opinions into an entire panel about our worst gaming takes. It was a lot of fun. The audience really liked it. He thinks Witcher 3 is bad.
It's terrible. It's just not good. I don't know what else to tell you. Hey, but you know what's not terrible? My buddy Sam Tolbert. Sam, journalist for Windows Central, long time friend of the show. I think you have been our most recurring guest, and it's not even fucking close over the seven years now.
Sheer time, right? Sheer time alone has accomplished that at this point.
You know what? It's always nice to have Sam on when everyone's not suffering through a Game Awards just misery fest.
I like how you specify that part, because I always do enjoy suffering at that time. Yeah, it's good to be here. Kind of a weird time. Lots of stuff going on. Not going to get into that. I need to disconnect and disassociate for 90 minutes. But there's a lot of cool games going on, and I'm happy to talk about them with y'all.
In fact, there are so many cool games going on that we are not even going to talk about what we've been playing tonight, because there is simply too much to fucking discuss. So, Jeff, do you want to break down for the audience how this is going to go down tonight?
So I think last week our show was just kind of on the tail end of State of Play, but we kind of just talked about Switch 2 the whole show because that had just launched. So trying to get through. We're gonna, so we had State of Play, we had Summer Games Fest, we had the Xbox Showcase. I'm probably missing a few smaller shows. I've been too busy to catch them all, and then we had a little bit of news out of the Konami one today. So we're just kind of we've curated some topics and some games that are of particular interest to this group of people. So we'll hit on the big announcements. I'm sorry if we don't talk about the one you're really excited for. Sam and Sarah were at Summer Games Fest covering it. So we're going to get all their impressions over a variety of stuff, and then we'll kind of just go through the rest of the big hitters from those other shows.
Just to be clear, I know that people are very excited about RE9. Sam did play it, and we're going to talk about that at the end. We're going to talk about his RE9 impressions.
Saw it. I didn't play it.
You saw it. You were there. You were in the room looking at it. So.
Saw someone.
Yeah, you were there. You had line of sight on RE9. Guys, so do we want to start with Jeff? Do we want to start with what Sarah and Sam played, or do we want to start with announcements? What sounds better to you guys?
Yeah, let's do the impressions first.
Okay.
Sarah, why don't you tell us what you saw at Summer Games Fest?
Okay, I played a lot of games. At shows like Summer Game Fest, I tend to gravitate more towards the weird, colorful, indie, Day of the Dead, I Am 8-Bit, that kind of thing. So I will say my favorite game that I played all weekend was Sword of the Sea from Giant Squid. And it kind of feels and looks like Journey on a Skateboard.
Why does Giant Squid sound familiar to me as a dev? What have they done? I have
The Pathless, Abzu.
Abzu. Okay, that's where. Okay.
And while it wasn't the same studio, it wasn't Flower. Obviously, they were founded by several people that worked on Journey.
Yeah,
gotcha.
It's
okay.
The creative partners that worked on Journey together.
Okay. Journey to the Skateboard sounds good to me.
I've been a big fan of Giant Squid's games. They're very good.
Sarah, please continue.
Okay, let's talk about FBC Firebreak because it comes out next week. This was so fun. So I love Remedy games, love Alan Wake, love Control. This is a bit different in tone because it's a 3-player co-op shooter. And in addition to regular weapons like shotguns and machine guns and things like that, you have these toolkits that can do certain things around the bureau, such as, fix things, break things, spray everything with water, set things on, electrocute things. And the level I played was in a part of the office that was just drenched in sticky notes, and we had to get rid of thousands and thousands, at one point hundreds of thousands of sticky notes, all while being attacked by, creepy creatures, some of which were actually made by sticky notes. It was a lot of fun. You really have to communicate with your team. They gave us headsets, and, we had to stick together. When we tried to go our separate ways and cover more ground, it just did not work. We all died almost immediately. It's kind of like Left 4 Dead in that way. You really have to work together. You can't have any lone wolves trying to do everything on their own. It was a lot of fun. It was, did you get to play that one, Sam?
Yes, I did. I've been intrigued by that, not just because I'm a Remedy fan, but also I like good co-op games, and we don't get many good structured co-op games like Left 4 Dead these days. At least not at that, with no disrespect intended, not at that quality bar. So this has been really interesting to me. I played the preview and I enjoyed that. I did play it at Summer Game Fest. I co-signed basically everything you said. It's a lot of fun. They've addressed a couple of the nitpicks I had during the beta. One particular difference now that's really fun is you used to just gather ammo like anything. Now you have to do it almost Helldivers 2 style minigame where you hit the bumpers in the right order. So it makes everything a bit more stressful, a bit more friction, but in a very fun way, in that not friction in a, this is annoying, but friction in a, I have to pay attention to this gameplay mechanic and tell my teammates what I'm doing, like Sarah said, or you're going to get stomped by sticky notes. It's very fun.
So just to be clear, is this like a first-person shooter type deal, or
it's a first-person shooter? It is a first-person 3-player co-op shooter spin-off of Control. It is set in the oldest house of Control.
Okay, so it's basically like Call of Duty meets Office Space. essentially. Is
Office
what
Space
you're
is a
telling
good
me.
comparison. I would actually thinking about
You,
Office
you,
Space.
I'll allow it for Office Space.
Oh
yeah.
wow! Okay, I was shit posting
no.
verbally, but okay.
No,
like
actually, that's actually better than you'd think because like one of the guys at Remedy, I think Thomas, I think it was the comms manager Thomas was explaining like these guys have just been locked up in the oldest house for years. They're continually trying to survive, so they're just reusing as much office equipment as they can get their hands on. So you see like weird staplers and coffee mugs and other supplies like woven into military grade gear. It's very fun. It's a very unique aesthetic.
We did this all the time in the Marine Corps. So you're actually speaking my language. I'm lying, of course. We did not do this in the Marine Corps. Honestly, like, I don't know why I said verbal shit posting. Why didn't I just say I was fucking trolling? I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm way too online. But the idea of a Call of Duty, because I don't like Call of Duty, but the idea of a Call of Duty game mashed into into Office Space, like, I'm there. Like I'm all about this. Like fucking sticky note monsters. I'm in. I'm
It
there.
does not feel like Call of Duty at all. It doesn't take itself too seriously. No, it's not as isolated and tonally dark as Control or Alan Wake. Like, it's definitely goofier, but it's also just really nice to just step into and get right to it.
But so
yeah, it has a lot in common with like Helldivers too. In that sense, like there's a lot of just that kind of slapstick and having to try to do stuff and things like that. That's very fun, and it works really well. It works really well with like the tone that Remedy usually goes for.
I was gonna say like their games are serious, but like you can always tell they've always got those humorous bits in there, like hiding under the surface, tongue-in-cheek type stuff. So that's
Very
cool. They
Finnish.
got to lean into that.
So Sam is gonna. So let me say this: Sam is gonna be upset with me, and when my friend Samantha hears this, she's also gonna be upset with me. I have not played Control.
It's on sale for $4.
I haven't played it yet, Justin. Justin, these 90s era RPGs aren't gonna play themselves. Okay, do you understand? But
You're unemployed. Go play Control.
Yeah,
Don't
you are
tell us.
unemployed, and it is. Okay,
Whoa!
I'm sorry. It's
Whoa!
Hey, I am
$6.
I'm not
$6.
judging.
John don't have
Whoa.
time to play Control. He's too busy jamming.
What? Whoa! John, you're unemployed. You have time to play. What? Wow! All of you. This is for all of you
I'm
right
in
here.
the same boat as you. I got laid off this year too. So, yeah. And I'd like to say I've taken up some interesting hobbies, but no. In between getting rejected for jobs I'm qualified for, I'm catching up on video games that I haven't.
So my question is this: like, I don't know when this is coming out. I'm going to play Control.
It's
but-
in like 4 days.
it's out in
next
4 days.
week.
Okay. Do I need to play Control before I play this? Is my question.
No, it will give you a deeper appreciation for some of like the way the oldest house works. You could still play this without playing Control.
Yeah.
I will say this: like, I will put this on my radar. After I'm done with the Bravely Default, I've got to play Yakuza 0 on Switch 2 because I've never played a Yakuza game, and I promised Josh that
fair.
I would fucking,
Fair.
I would
and
lock that shit down.
Zero is wonderful. Zero is a wonderful game. Oh, John, do you have PS Plus Extra or Game Pass? Because Firebreak is actually launching on both. So if you
Yes.
have one or the other,
Justin,
it's
I'm not
available.
some fucking nerd, but yes, I do.
I think Control Ultimate Edition is also on Game Pass, if I remember correctly.
And PS Plus. You got no excuse. PlayStation or Xbox.
All right,
you got
I'm gonna-
You got no excuse.
Look. Yes, I'm unemployed. I'm gonna play Control. I promise. I will get to it this summer. I promise. Sarah, no, this sounds awesome. Sarah, what else you got?
Okay, so I don't know if you've been following Bloomhouse Games since they made their big flashy debut this year, but much like the film division, Bloomhouse Games is quickly making a name for itself as sort of like the next evolution of the horror genre. You know, everything that they are showing is spooky, but it's also different. It's not like, there's no just straight up survival horror as you already know it. So one of the games I played from them, it's called Grave Seasons, and this game was made specifically for me. If you like cozy farming sims, and you also like through crime and reading about murder and listening to murder podcasts and solving mysteries, then this is the game for you because
What-
it
what-
starts like
What if you like doing murder? I'm
You
not
know,
saying I like doing murder. I'm just saying, like, if you were a murderer, is this a game? Would this be a compelling purchase for you?
I mean, I think it would give you a unique perspective.
Okay,
It
perfect,
would help
perfect,
you solve
perfect.
the mysteries. So it starts like many other farming sims do. You've just moved to town. You inherited this farm through questionable means because you're an ex-convict who just got out of prison. And you know, right away your neighbors come over and they're like, "Oh, hey, you should start planting crops. Here's some seeds. Use your tools." And so I'm planting my crops and I'm picking tomatoes, and there is a severed hand in my garden. And you know, in this pixelated art style, it's it's like a very strange contrast.
Oh, pixelated art style. Okay, okay.
Yeah, like you know, it's got that retro look like Stardew Valley does.
Oh, okay. I'm listening.
And it's really smooth animations. It's actually very pretty. And then later that night in the demo, I had to go to a forest with a local lady who I wanted to romance, but I never got a chance because she was brutally killed right in front of me, like chest cavity torn open, rib cage exposed, blood and entrails anywhere.
Okay, I wasn't expecting everything after I never got the chance. Like I wasn't. I thought you were gonna be like, oh, I said the wrong thing. I made the wrong choice. I was not expecting. I missed the chance because her
My
viscera
girlfriend
was
got
all
mad
over
at
the
me.
ground.
No. No, this is not like I gave you the wrong gift and now you're mad at me. This is like a dark creature emerged from the shadows and like pulled her away and just destroyed her body. So the point of the game is a new killer like randomly loads in every season, I believe it is, and then you have to solve the mystery before too many people get killed. So I was told that in the full game I would have a chance to save this girl. In the demo, it was very guided, so I did not. I didn't. There was nothing I could have done about that. But yeah, color me intrigued. I'm going to play this game for 100 hours. I can already tell, and it doesn't come out until next year, and that's too far away.
I wish, like, I know that I'm beating a dead horse here, but like I get so frustrated when really cool games are shown and it's like before the middle of like whatever calendar year you're in, and they're like, okay, this doesn't come out until 2020, whatever, right? And it's like, like why are you showing like that's one of the things Nintendo does right, I think, right? It's like, okay, here's this game and it's coming out in 4 months, right? Or you know, I just it's frustrating to me when we get to see and play these really like these snippets of these really incredible looking games and they're like, yeah, it's 2 years out, and it's like, oh god damn it.
Yeah, but
like,
for small studios to break through the hype cycle, like they really have to build momentum,
Yeah.
and it takes a long time. So you know, if they came out next year and they were like, "Hey, this Murdery Farm Sim is coming out in a month, play it," you know, for a certain crowd like me, that would be a no-brainer. Like, put it at the top of my list. But you gotta remember that most gamers are not as plugged in as us. You know, they're not super online all the time. They maybe weren't watching SGF live. So this is more to, you know, build the message along along the way. And the
Okay.
fact that it's already looking pretty good and playing pretty well, and it still has a year to go, makes me hopeful that there's going to be a lot to do in it. Because sometimes the end game for these farm sims, it just completely dropped off. You run out of things to do really quickly, and that's boring. So I want them to take their time, and I want it to be, you know, a very full, realized experience. But I also want it right now.
So we actually have a question in chat, and I will throw this to Sarah. Our friend Azim asks, these game expos are primarily for media, right? And Summer Games Fest is media only, right? Like,
Yeah, media and industry
Yes.
only. And then
Okay.
you have events like IGN Fan Fest, which is going on at the same time, which is, you know,
Yeah.
just for gamers.
no, and
everybody
game
can go.
or like Gamescom, that's open to the public, right? Like you can go to Gamescom if you're not a
Yes,
journalist.
I believe
okay.
there's probably like one fresh day and then public, but I've never been, so I don't remember what the exact deal was. You know, E3 used to be press and industry only, and then they opened it up to the public.
Which
right before it
I was
died
gonna
a fiery death.
I was gonna say, Sarah. A lot of people think that's part of the reason it died is because they opened it up to the general public.
It was already dying for them to feel like they needed to do that, or that would be a good idea. But it did make it significantly harder to work at that last E3.
I'll fucking bet.
Yeah.
I'll fucking bet. No, this is great stuff so far. Sarah, what else you got?
Oh my god, so much focus on me. Okay. 4 out of 10.
What do you want to pass it off to Sam and give yourself a break and we can?
Well, I just started talking about Ratatan, so
Okay,
talk about Ratatan.
let's do Ratatan.
Spiritual successor to Patapon. I can't believe this game exists. Patapon was a PSP rhythm game from back in the day.
Very popular. Patapon, people fucking
Is that
love
really?
Patapon.
Is that back in the day already? Are we that old?
Yes, we
back
are.
in the day.
Oh,
Yes,
no.
Jeff,
We're old
we
as
are.
shit.
So
That was 5 years ago, right?
no, Jeff, Patapon came out. So the PSP came out in 2000 and I was 5. Oh yeah, I was in Iraq. I was in Iraq when I had a PSP, Jeff. So yeah, it's been 20 years now.
Yeah. Shit.
Yeah.
All right.
So, anyway, it's a rhythm game. It's also kind of a roguelike. Like, there is a lot of dying and starting over, and that's part of the process. But you control this army of little dudes, and you give them commands through music. So there's a beat that's constantly going on as you're marching through, and you have to put in the right key, button combination for attack or rally or jump or do a special move. And there's so much going on the screen at once because you can have up to 100 little soldiers following you around. But it's so much fun. I died a lot, actually. It was, at first I could not, so, here's the thing, Patapon was on a handheld, right?
It was.
So I played, on a TV screen, and there was so much going on the screen, and I did not know where to focus my eyes. So I missed a lot of the cues at first and kept getting killed. But once you start to just hear the music, and follow the beat in your mind as you're going, then it becomes like second nature. So that's really cool. It's very colorful, so the music will get stuck in your head for the rest of your life.
Our fellow podcast mate Britt is in the chat, and I think you've activated her with your Patapon comparisons. Britt apparently, I did not know this. Britt apparently loves Patapon. I've never.
It's a spiritual successor, by the way. It is not a direct sequel. The name Patapon is not anywhere on the marketing, but it is clearly connected.
I've never played a Patapon game.
The logo literally looks like it. It's the Patapon logo. It is made to look like it is.
It is as close as it can legally get to being Patapon.
People fucking love Patapon.
Is great.
People fucking love
Patapon.
Patapon. I've never played it.
It's great.
I should probably get around to it at some point.
Well, if you had a PSP in Iraq, what were you even doing if not playing Patapon?
I was what was I? I was playing Ghost of Sparta. I was playing. What the fuck was I playing on my PSP in Iraq? Whatever. What? Shit. I can't. It was 20 years ago. I can't fucking remember this shit.
Your tax dollars to work. John played Sparta on his PSP.
Look, listen up, motherfucker. Listen up. No. Hold on. When you're in Fallujah, sitting in like an old abandoned castle somewhere, and like there's like you can hear rounds going over your head at night. Sometimes the only solace you have is the cold light of a PSP. In the middle of an Iraqi night.
That beautiful screen.
That beautiful fucking LCD screen with Kratos screaming in your ear.
Yeah, exactly.
That was
ripping someone's head off.
Those were the moments, Jeff. Those were the moments where I really felt alive, right there. Let's give Sarah a small break. Let's kick Sam, and we'll come back to Sarah. Sam, let's give Sarah a break. Sam, what is some of the shit you played at I almost said Gamescom at Keighley Fest, which really
So at Keighley Fest, and I'm gonna leave off the Xbox games because I think we're gonna talk more.
We're gonna talk about the presentation
about the Xbox showcase, and so we'll leave those aside because I did go hands on with those. But I played a few games over at Keighley Fest. FBC mentioned already. Agree with Sarah on pretty much everything. Love it. I also played Lego Party. If you think, hey, that looks like Mario Party, but with Legos, you are correct. That is exactly.
Is that literally what it is?
That is what it is. I don't even mean that in a bad way. It's it's
it was like extremely blatant.
Yeah,
I will say my worry was it definitely didn't look. I can't articulate it. It gave me a vibe that it wasn't like that polished, and how was it sound? Like, did it seem
it
quality?
feels polished. It feels
okay.
Like it is the same BS.
Because Lego games are all over the place, right?
Yeah, no,
all
no,
over the fucking place.
There's a wide dearth. There's a wide dearth there, but like it's polished. It seemed polished as heck to the point I was very surprised that they weren't giving an exact release date just yet. It looks really good. One of the things I appreciate that SMG Studio, that's the developer, was explaining is that they actually are not allowed by Lego to have something in the game if it can't be built by a professional Lego designer over in Denmark. Like they actually have to say like, hey, can you approve this set? All right, we need to take a month and work on it. Okay, yes, this is approved. Or hey, can we scale this down 15% in size? No, you absolutely cannot. That's an impossible build. Like, I don't know, that's just very fun. I appreciate that. I appreciate that kind of thing. But yeah, it's the same BS. I was in the lead for 90% of the game, and then all of a sudden I just got jumped at the end, and I lost all my gold bricks. And I
we wouldn't want you to
It's
have fun
gold
playing a
bricks.
game.
I love it. Gold bricks.
It's gold
I love
bricks.
it.
So yeah,
I love it.
it's going to be on literally everything. It's a multi-platform version of Lego of Mario Party, but it's Lego Party. It's fun. It's
Cool.
fun. It'll be good for families. I also played Directive 8020. I'm not sure if anyone here besides Justin is familiar with the Dark Pictures games. They're like the smaller.
Oh, are you talking about Man and Medan and shit like that?
Man and Medan, yeah.
Man and Medan. Yeah.
So it's the latest one from Supermassive. It is a big, big leap up in budget. It is like a way bigger game. The creative director, Will Doyle, was also the creative director of House of Ashes, which I firmly believe is the best of the 4 Dark Pictures games so far. So I don't think that's really a coincidence that he's helming this one. It's the thing in space, basically. It is what it is. Like this group of scientists, this group of astronauts, land.
I mean, you're talking about one of my favorite 3 movies of all time, so I'm already interested.
It's Alien meets The Thing, basically. I don't
2 of
think
my
that's a
favorite
bad
movies
thing.
of all time.
Okay,
Like,
yeah, that sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a bad thing. The big difference with this one is it's no longer just like you played Until Dawn, you played these other games like The Core or whatever. You know how it's like you have QTEs, or like the gameplay where people live or die, and then the exploration moments where you actually control the characters are mostly just you walking around and like finding clues, like, there be monsters here. That's interesting. I'm gonna ignore that, like that kind of thing. That's not the case here, and there's actually real-time stealth moments where you actually have to maneuver the characters around and hide from the monsters as they're like scouring your wrecked spaceship. And I was very worried at first that it would feel a little janky or it wouldn't be polished because it's Supermassive's first time doing this, but it feels good. It was actually very tense, and there was a jump scare that got me. And jump scares never get me, especially in like a loud, crowded, show floor like this was. So yeah, it's coming out in October. Really, really good. Looks like easily the most promising one yet.
I'm sorry.
8020.
I have to speak up on this. I've never played any of the Dark Pictures games. I know what they are. Every time I hear somebody say Dark Pictures, I'm sorry, I just think of that fucking tweet that's still up from Universal Studios. It's like, witness the birth of a dark universe. And that motherfucker is still there. Every now and then, I just check to see if it's still there, and it's right there.
They're just about to open an entire theme park dedicated to the Dark Universe.
The theme park is actually really good.
The theme park, I've heard it's really good too. It's just imagine if the movies to go with it
actually existed. Like imagine if the Dark Universe. Yeah,
we didn't get that Dark Universe, but we got this one.
Every time somebody says Dark Pictures, I just have this image of like Russell Crowe and Tom Cruise and Johnny Depp just Javier Bardem lounging around. Like,
I remember hearing they weren't even in the same room. That entire photo was just photoshopped.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
No!
That they were not standing near.
That's even fucking better, dude. That's fucking hilarious.
It's amazing. I hope it never gets taken down. I hope.
Same. I want. You know what?
Like,
A thousand
can die and burn to the ground, but that tweet must remain on.
1,000 years from now, when the dust from humanity's bones is gone, whatever follows us, I want that one tweet to be what their sole understanding of humanity.
It's gonna be like it's gonna be like environmental storytelling. Like 1,000 years from now, it's gonna be like a Resident Evil game. Someone's combing through like an old office and they find a USB stick or a piece of paper, and it's just that picture. And they're like, "What happened here?"
But then they're trying to find all the movies, and they're just like, I don't know what happened.
I only found 3 of them. Where are the rest?
Civilization's gonna have a reboot, and they're just gonna but before the modern times, there was the Dark Universe. All we know of the Dark Universe is this picture.
Oh
We
my
don't have
God.
time for this shit.
We really don't.
Save
We
us.
really don't. I'll try to speed up, please. Directive 80.
No,
Sam,
really.
please, Sam, please continue. Please continue, Sam.
It looks really good. Definitely a one to keep an eye on if you enjoy Until Dawn and those kinds of games. I also played a couple of cool games over at Annapurna. Annapurna Interactive is like
Annapurna does
really
good
cool
shit,
stuff.
dude. They do good shit.
They've got some good people over there. They've got some good games. One of them is Mixtape. I don't know if anyone here has heard of Mixtape.
Yeah, I did a
from
lot of those in
Beethoven.
college.
Yeah. Well, actually, then you'll relate to this. John. It's from Beethoven Dinosaur, the developer of The Artful Escape.
I'm sorry.
which is
Wait. I'm sorry. What? What?
The developer, the studio's name is Beethoven and Dinosaur.
That's a fucking porno name, and I don't care what anyone says, dude. I don't care what
They
anyone
made The
says.
Artful Escape, which was amazing, and Mixtape is so very much my jam, and it has an amazing soundtrack. Sorry.
Yeah. It's like, how do I put this? So the idea of Mixtape is a group of teenage friends who want to make one last amazing mixtape because they're about to go their separate ways. One of them is about to fly up several states over for a new job, or her attempt at a new job, but I'm not going to spoil too much. And so they want to have like one last amazing night on the town to remember, one last amazing mixtape. And the entire game is basically just a love letter to the concept of remixing music. I don't want to spoil any of the songs. I don't want to spoil how they're used, but it's really good. And there's a reason my preview of that game is not up yet, because I'm having a very hard time talking about it in any way without feeling like I'm giving away something intrinsic from the experience.
It's interesting to hear. Like it's cynical of me, but it looked so good. But at the same time, I couldn't get a feel on what the gameplay was like, and I was like, this trailer feels engineered to appeal to like fans of like Empire Records or Dazed and Confused, like that, like.
Hey,
Right, like,
it's
which is like me,
it's-
but I'm like, but I also want it to be a good game, like, and I can't. Not that I'm doubting it. I couldn't get a feel. I was like, I don't know what this game is, but I'm into it.
Okay, so I'll say this. As carefully as I can, the gameplay changes. 1 minute, you might be controlling them as they're skateboarding down a highway. The next, you might be walking around a room looking at old records and old pictures. The next, you might be trying to do a QTE button mash.
Oh,
event
God,
as
dude,
they're,
this
like,
sounds-
rocking out.
This sounds Jeff coded as fuck. Like,
what
this
comforts-
is a Jeff ass game.
What comforts me is that he's hearing you say the music is central to the game and not just a marketing tool, which was my main worry. So absolutely, that's awesome. I'm super excited for that now.
Johnny, the lead developer, the lead of the studio, explicitly said, like, very shamelessly, this was me working backwards, saying, like, here are my favorite songs that speak to my soul. How do I make a game around this? And I think in this particular case that works and that makes sense, right?
I love it.
So yeah, it's like.
Happy.
I really don't want to say too much else, but please keep Mixtape on your wish list. Keep it on your radar.
That is top right now. That's like my number one most anticipated.
Yeah, it's really good. It's coming to everything. It's coming to PC, PlayStation 5, Xbox. It's coming to Game Pass. So like, it's out there. It'll be out there. It's really cool.
When is it coming out?
They have a good feeling about the next 12 months.
Gotcha.
The way I will. Pardon me, the way I'll put that. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say really quick for Sam or Sarah. I don't know if either of you guys, if this came up at all. One thing I noticed was not surprising, I guess, given how the rollout for the Switch 2 went. It's just, SGF coming on the heels like of the Switch 2 launch. To my eye, every trailer, I didn't see a single logo for Switch 2 or mention of Switch 2.
I didn't either.
Everything was just Switch 1. So I don't know if it came up with any of the, like, I'm just curious, was there any hint? Was there anything being shown on Switch 2? Like, or is it being worked on, just not advertised? Like, I'm curious what the status there is, or should we be expecting to wait a while for, like, actual Switch 2 versions of games?
Sarah, do you mind? Because I can speak to this pretty.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Like, basically, the TLDR is Nintendo has been stingy as hell with dev kits. Like,
So they're just getting their hands on them now.
beyond Nintendo standards. They are being real stingy. There were a couple of games, Jeff. what is it? Activision. Yeah, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4
Right.
is getting a native Switch 2 version. That version is not launching in July, however. That version is. I mean, it'll be backward compatible,
Yeah.
like or
Right,
whatever.
yeah.
But like, yeah, it's not going to be it's not going because it's also getting a regular Nintendo Switch version, I believe.
Yeah.
And so like you'll be able to play that one on your
It's,
Switch. But, like the native version's coming later. The Lego Party dev, SMG Studio, they explicitly said like, yeah, it's coming to Nintendo Switch and it'll be playable on the Switch too, but we don't have a dev kit yet. So yeah, Nintendo's just being real stingy. It's gonna be a minute. That's
It's too bad for the developers because like it, we just heard it's like the biggest console launch of all time. Not that people aren't going to buy it on other platforms,
Right.
but I think a lot of them would have loved to have that Switch 2 version ready and advertised. So everyone, especially because like a new console launch, people are desperate for games to play. You see a lot of games get attention that otherwise wouldn't, like Assassin's Creed.
Also,
Assassin's Creed's a bad example, but
it's-
what I mean, right?
no,
Valhalla
like, I
really
think
been.
I think it's also just kind of a bad thing for like partner relations and stuff too.
No, it is.
Yeah.
When like people
objectively
like
is. Yeah.
really want to support your system, there's a lot of enthusiasm for it, and you have not given them the tools they need to be able to support it. Like that just sucks. Like and especially smaller teams are going to get burnt by it.
So-
on top of the fact that people weren't able to review stuff for Switch ahead of time, like some of those small there's several games that are Switch 2 exclusive that were at launch and they're smaller games, and they might have benefited from getting that word of mouth going like at the launch if they had been able to do traditional reviews.
I had been working on one of those launch games, Boom Factory. I obviously can't say too much about that, but yes, it's just another case of Nintendo being Nintendo. They don't. Whatever other developers and publishers and console makers are doing, they're doing their own thing in their own way. And sometimes it works out great, and sometimes we get the Wii U. But the Switch 2 is selling like crazy already, so I don't think they're hurting for it.
Well, let me.
And again, like.
No, Sarah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It wasn't a lot of fun. So it was kind of weird because we're at Summer Game Fest last weekend. The Switch 2 had just come out. A lot of us didn't even have time to use it yet. And there were people who said part of their team to Summer Game Fest, and part of them had to stay home and just play Switch 2 all weekend to get coverage up because there were no advanced units. So yeah, that's not a fun experience for the media. I don't know if it best serves the consumer, but I was getting one at launch no matter what for Mario Kart. So.
I'll speak just real quick. So a point I want to make. I know it's not the topic, but like 3.5 million units in 4 days is fucking nuts. Sony and Microsoft. This is what happens when you have enough fucking stock to meet demand at launch.
I was going to point that out. Like, that's no.
I mean, they didn't launch.
No disrespect
They
to
did
Nintendo,
launch
but
during the pandemic. Like, that was a pretty
the
challenging
console
situation.
launch is selling what you made, right? Like for that
That's
first few months. But good for them for creating like we've.
Yeah.
I walked into a store the morning of and bought mine.
And you
A
just
lot of
got
people
one,
didn't
dude.
manage-
I was fucking shocked, Jeff, when that happened.
I know more people that were able to just go to a store and buy one than I know that were able to like successfully pre-order.
Whatever all the confusion and stuff with the way the console was rolled out and announced, like kudos to them for making it making enough that people seem to be able to get their hands on it. That's cool.
I mean, good on Nintendo for making sure that and you know what, that fucks the scalpers, and anything that fucks the scalpers, I'm all about it.
I'm sorry, did you say scalpers?
Scalpers.
Yeah,
scalpers. I'm from Chicago. What do you want me to say, man? I got that. It's I don't say
Scalpers.
I don't say.
What about those scalpers there?
And look, dude. I'm a Midwestern guy. Okay, we don't say roof. We say roof. Like hey, I heard a noise up on the roof. Like it just. That's how we pronounce shit. I don't know what to tell you. Before we start off on the Xbox and Sony presentations, Sarah, I want to throw it back to Sarah. Sarah, did you have anything else you wanted to talk about before we started in on the meat and potatoes of the presentations?
Yeah, one more game I want to talk about is Dosa Divas from Outer Games and Outer Sloth. Now, this is from the same people who made Thirsty Suitors. which I liked a lot. It wasn't a perfect game, but it was a lot of fun, and it was so colorful and creative and different, and Dose of Divas looks to be the same way. It's full of personality and it's really funny, but on the other hand, there's, it's about the two sisters, and then the third sister has this fast food empire that is disrespecting the family's long-term connection to, food as a metaphor for, love and togetherness. So there's, family trauma in the background going on. It has turn-based RPG combat, but there's also a lot of exploration and finding ingredients, and then you go to this like alternate dimension, and that's where you do your cooking. That's where you make your doses. So you get your recipes, and it's just like, okay, you need something salty, something hot, something sweet, and you mix it together, and there's, little quick time event mini games while you're making your food, and the quality of your food depends on how well you did there. But I just love these games that don't fit neatly into any genre, and I feel like we're seeing that a lot now. No one feels constrained to be like, well, this is a turn-based RPG, so it has to be this. Like, okay, well, it's a little bit of a turn-based RPG, and it's a little bit of a cooking simulator. Like, it can do all things. And it's just hard not to like it. You see it on the floor, and it just grabs your attention because of all the bright colors. The dialogue is really sharp and feels natural, feels like how humans actually talk to each other. I'm a really big fan of this team right now.
Awesome. All right. Sam, you got anything else before we
Yeah, real quick. I'll be real quick.
Please.
Because I know we gotta move over. But another Annapurna game that looks really, really cool is called Snap and Grab. Did anyone see the trailer for this? Because you're a cool person.
Not.
Yes. Okay, then Justin, you know where I'm going with this. Real quick. Snap and Grab is a very, it's definitely on a budget, but it's an M-Sim light where you basically play a, fashion royalty star who goes around taking pictures, except she's actually, a secret top-level criminal, and she uses those pictures for her hench people to plan heists. It is ridiculous. It is very funny. It's like Hitman, but someone made it, uber gay, and I mean that in the best possible way. I mean that as a compliment. Seriously, it's definitely made on a budget. Some of the character models aren't the best. The cutscenes are a real work in progress, but that team is cooking. That team is onto something. They really, really are.
Awesome.
It's called Snap and Grab.
Snap and
All right.
Grab. I'll have to look this up. All right. So we've got to talk about the Sony. Let's talk about the Sony and Xbox showings.
Well, no, let's.
You want to talk about?
Let's do RE9 because I was at SGF and Sam got to see it.
Okay. So we want to talk about RE9 first. Okay.
Yeah. Let's do that. We have to acknowledge the way that they presented this because we were
so
all
dumb, dude. I just
no. In hindsight, it was fucking brilliant. If they hadn't actually shown it, it would have been very dumb because we were all talking about the Please Be Excited Square Enix and then the FF7 port for PS4.
Okay, that was really okay. Yeah, I can see that.
And this was on that level until they came back at the end.
I was at the live show, the Jeff Keighley show, last Friday, and when they did that, plus news about Resident Evil coming someday, it was like the air got sucked out of the room. Everyone was like, okay, is that it? Okay.
Well played, I will say.
I also want to shout out Justin for for permitting the term super gay in chat. Justin, thank you.
Thank you, Justin.
Fantastic.
The only time any words get flagged in Twitch or Discord is us.
Fantastic work all around, everyone. So Sam, you want to talk RE9?
So RE9. I'll try and condense it, but what we saw was just under 30 minutes of gameplay footage. It was mostly continuous to set the scene, but Capcom did jump around a little bit just to avoid spoiling the exact solution to some puzzles. Exactly where you find the key is a pretty big deal in a Resident Evil game. So, they weren't going to show that. It's just hey, and now she goes and finds the key. But the demo opens, and I assume this is pretty early in the game, right? with Grace Ashcroft. That's the new protagonist, the daughter of the reporter. I can't remember her first name. from Resident Evil Outbreak. Alyssa. Thank you. Yeah, from Resident Evil Outbreak. She's now an FBI agent, and she wakes up upside down, strapped to a table in some dilapidated buildings. It looks like a creepy mansion where her blood is being drained. She understandably freaks the hell out, breaks free, and tries to start exploring. So the gameplay started off in first person. I say started off for a reason. We'll get back to that. And she doesn't have a lot. She doesn't have any weapons. Her pistol's been taken from her, so she has to scrounge whatever she can find. She finds a lighter, so that's her source of light. New to the series, she can pick up bottles and throw them as like a distraction, Last of Us style.
Any bricks?
Boy, howdy, she needs them, because for a while it looks like this mansion is empty, but it becomes clear there's something in here with her. And there is this gigantic, nasty, twisted, bandaged thing. I'm not doing it justice, but it's huge. It
Is it a Trump voter?
Hallway. It's absolutely, Jesus. It's huge. It looks like it may have once been a woman. I've seen some theorizing that, like, what if this is a mutated Lisa Trevor?
You're not the only one. I have heard that from other people as well.
I'm not sure I agree, but I like that line of thinking. So anyway, this thing is massive. It basically fills the hallway, and it's getting around by, like, burrowing into the ceiling and crawling around.
So that's the thing, though. That's the thing we briefly saw in the trailer coming down the wall.
Very briefly. Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, that's what that is. And so Grace is understandably completely freaked out, not sure what's going on, and she doesn't have any weapons to defend herself, so she has to make her way around and try to find keys and, like, open things up in order to get out of here. The demo ends before she's able to escape this thing, but Capcom brought the house down in a way I've basically never seen before, because at the very end of the demo, they suddenly paused it and flipped a toggle in the options from first person to third person.
I heard about this.
And that was very cool. I've never seen it done that way in a gameplay demo. So yeah, from the get-go, you can just play in first or third person. It was really horrifying. I really like it. There is a bit of an elephant in the room, though, and that is Capcom is saying that Resident Evil Requiem is going to have, like, extreme, back to their roots survival horror, but that it's also going to have a lot of action. We didn't see any action. And so that kind of makes me wonder, like, is there another protagonist?
So this ties into multiple theories I have seen that Leon Kennedy is actually the main protagonist of Resident Evil 9.
I'm not quite sure I agree with main, but I definitely think he...
I'm pretty sure you hear him in the trailer. I'm pretty sure you hear Leon in the trailer. The guy who says, like, you wouldn't believe the shit I've seen. Like, I'm paraphrasing here, but I'm fairly certain that's Leon. Sam, was there... Jeff, please, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, just really quickly, I just want to say, like, people who listen to the show a lot are sick of me saying it, like, all the respect in the world for, the new Resident Evil games and what they've done to expand the audience. Like, obviously 7, 8 are probably... I played 7 and I enjoyed it, but my heart has always been with kind of those first 3. That was Resident Evil. That's the Resident Evil I grew up with, right?
You've spoken often about your love for Resident Evil.
I like my George Romero zombies. I like my classics, but I'm okay. Like, obviously the original Resident Evil, you had the monsters, you had the tyrant, you had the snake. Like, I like the big monsters in Resident Evil 2, but just the, like, infected crazy village, like, it's cool they changed it up. Like, that's how franchises get stale, right? When you're afraid to make changes. So I don't disagree with that, but I'm always like, there's got to be a time where we can go back to the roots. Take it back a little bit to the basics. Go back to Raccoon City, like, and I'm like, so I'm in already.
Which we're apparently doing. Too. Yeah, like we're going back. Like,
yeah, the thing that's gonna seal it for me is like seeing a zombie, but like, I'll accept it if they're not there. But I
feel like the zombies are gonna be in here. They're obviously not gonna be the only enemy, but there needs. If there's a high action half of this, if this game is what I think it is, where Grace is the survival horror half, and then like Leon is going to be the action half, there needs to be enemies that he can mow down. Right? Yeah. So I think zombies will happen.
So where in the timeline does this fall? So this is
after Village. That's all.
So this is after Village.
After Village, but it sounds like it is. They usually take place in the year that they come out, so it is likely before Village's DLC.
Right.
Okay. All right. That makes sense.
Because Village's DLC was like 16 years in the future.
How much time do you think we're actually going to spend in Raccoon City? Because I don't
I think a
anticipate.
good chunk. I think
I
a
hope
good.
You think so?
You
Would it
can't,
be-
you can't advertise that we're going back to Raccoon
That's what
City
I'm
and then
thinking,
just have,
Sarah.
They had
Like-
like the shot of the police station and the crater. Like, what are you doing if you were not playing at
I
Raccoon
want to
City?
be, if we're not in Raccoon City for like a significant portion
Like,
of
they're
the
not gonna
game,
pass
I'm
up the
going
chance
to
to go-
What
go
if-
Why do?
So
To go
here's.
through that police station again a little bit as after it's destroyed. There's no way you're not.
I
Doing
have a
that.
theory. I have a theory about how this game is going to be set up.
You have a
and-
lot
and-
of theories.
I do, but and I would say solid 70% of them are right most of the time. But
we know for a
Yeah,
fact that's not even
imagine.
close to true.
all right. But putting that aside, you guys are allowed to.
60% of the time they're right. 10% of the time.
You guys are. I can't even do the math on that one. But you guys tell me what you think. I suspect that this is going to be not an open world game, but open in the sense of like the Evil Within 2. Sam, you know what I'm talking about there?
Yeah, I see that. Evil Within 2 sounds
set
right.
primarily in post-apocalyptic Raccoon City. That's what I think we're looking at here.
That's what I hope. I would really enjoy that. Like,
especially again for Leon's half of the game.
That's what I'm thinking too. Sarah, I know that you didn't see the game behind closed doors, but I'm curious but you've seen the trailer like everyone else, and you played Resident Evil. What do you want to see? What are you hoping to see from 9 based on what little we know about it?
I mean, honestly, I like 7 and 8. And I'm very easily scared, so like this is not a good benchmark for how scary these games are. But they definitely had me on edge.
I mean,
a lot of
7
times,
was a
but-
scary fucking game. I consider 7 to be the
Yeah.
scariest Resident Evil.
Thank you.
So.
Okay, thank you. Yes, like I could
And
not play
not-
it in the dark. I could not play it alone in my house.
That's a
because
fucking
then I
scary
would
game.
9 is the same director as 7, correct?
I don't know actually. That's
I
a damn-
think so,
I'm
but
pretty
I
sure it
can't.
is.
I think so, but I can't say 100%.
Well, let me look it
Well,
up. 1 second.
I will say, but like when I saw the trailer and I saw the creator of Raccoon City, that hooked me because I was like, oh, we're going back, and there's a nostalgia factor there because the first Resident Evil came out when I was like, in middle school, and it was such a cool experience, and those early Resident Evil games were so claustrophobic, and I would like to see a little more of that, like not just, you're in an open space and enemies are coming at you from every direction. I want more like dogs jumping through the window,
Sure.
I want something
My,
scares.
I think one of my favorite like hybrids between the two is like there's an open world, but it basically exists as a hub to find and enter more like
Yes.
manually curated stuff. Like, so I hope that's what we get. Like, big city to explore, but then you've got like distinct locations that you then go and spend a lot of time in that bring that other piece. So that'd be my hope.
So
yeah.
I want to. No, Sarah.
By
please go
the way,
ahead.
I just looked it up. Koshi Nakanishi is the director of both 7 and 9.
Okay.
That sounds right. That's
Yeah.
from what I saw. That sounds right.
I just remember that when at the live show there were people in my row at the theater who also thought that voice was Leon. So
Oh, you talk about you ain't seen the shit that I've seen. Yeah, I was like, oh, that's fucking Leon Kennedy, dude. Like that's very
I mean,
clearly
it has
Leon.
to be a legacy character, otherwise.
Well, and also, like, why would you bring the RPD back that prominently if you weren't gonna have Leon in the game? Like, it just doesn't make any fucking sense. I want to shout out something that Britt said in chat. She said 7 had me until he was driving his car at me in the garage. That was one of the most ridiculous fucking like I was like, oh shit, this is really scary until Jack Baker climbs in the car and he's like, nice car, Ethan, and I'm like, what the fuck?
I love that so much.
I'm like,
love that segment
I'm gonna take you for a ride. Oh yeah, and I'm like, what the fuck is happening? Resident Evil 7. I actually recently replayed that a few months ago, and I know people have issues with the first person point of view. That game still sings in all the right parts. Like Resident Evil 7 is just a great fucking video game. I am super hopeful about RE9. I think honestly, Sam, you and I had talked about this before. That like you and I had said that offline that like it was probably past time to show this game. The fact that it's coming out less than a calendar year from now, I think is really good.
very early.
I suspect since there's a public demo at Gamescom, I suspect that's around the same time we'll get a downloadable demo for everyone to play, probably after Gamescom. We always get a demo for Resident Evil games. There's always a
they've
demo.
Always done one. They've always done at least one.
At
Sometimes
least
they've
one
done
demo. Yeah, I know seven had multiple demos. 8
7 had
one.
multiple, and they were like custom made. Like
Yeah.
Seven's marketing was so good.
It was really good.
Seven's marketing was incredible.
It was really fucking good. I am very hopeful for Resident Evil 9. For what I really like the theory of this being a semi-open world game set in like a completely bombed out Raccoon City. I think that is super compelling. Especially visiting areas, like seeing that statue in the middle of the RPD, like that half busted statue, like just really gave me goosebumps because it really like there's a, and yeah, like that's a nostalgia hit happening, but it's one of those like, oh shit, we're going back to where it all started.
I think though, like they waited long enough to do this.
Yes.
That it works a lot better than when other franchises do. Like, it's not like the end of a trilogy. It's not like the end of, like, it's not like the third game, you go back to the first game or something like that. Like, this is the 9th game going back to the location of the first, like, few
It's a
games.
nostalgia pull that feels
Decades
earned.
in the works, yeah.
And, like, also, next year is the 30th anniversary of Resident Evil, right?
It is.
So, yeah, having this also be the 30th anniversary game, having kind of the nostalgia thing, makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so fucking excited. Sam, did you have anything else you wanted to speak on in regards to Resident Evil before we jumped into the Sony and Xbox presentations?
No, I'll just say uber quickly, less than a minute on 2 other Capcom games. The new Onimusha looks really good. It's brutal, it's dark. I
can't
to the
wait.
developers. I have a like preview / interview coming up sometime, hopefully tomorrow. But
What a
maybe
fucking
different.
year Capcom has in store next year, dude.
Oh yeah,
Like,
it's an amazing
it's
year.
gonna be a
also,
big fucking
Pragmata
year.
is alive. Really cool that Pragmata is alive. It's a game based around hacking, which is weird, but it feels good. It actually feels good to play. So yeah, great year for Capcom. Great year for Capcom next year.
Well, let's speaking of Pragmata, let's talk about some of the games that Sony and Xbox showed, and we'll talk about how we felt about Summer Games Fest as a whole. We're not going to include Nintendo because they didn't really do anything. So there's.
I mean, they did release a console. So
Yeah, but,
yeah,
I mean,
That's all they had to do. Like, that's the thing about Nintendo's first priority is always to players and, like, their fan base, and
Yeah.
sometimes that makes it hard for people in the industry or people in the media to do their job, but the thing is, like, it's not about us, it's about the gamers, and we're
Yeah.
gamers too, so I think to some degree we can appreciate that. I know I sound like a Nintendo stan right now. I do not think everything they do is right, but it's just very interesting to watch them eschew, like, all traditional marketing practices and then sell, several million consoles in a few days.
I will say I fully expect a direct before the end of June. They always do one in June. I think we'll probably get a direct in a couple weeks or so. But
Yeah.
let's Jeff, do you want to start with the Sony conference? The state of play?
We don't have time to cover everything. Like, there's something
Yeah,
you
we
guys
won't.
are like really passionate about that we missed.
Oh,
so
there's
just feel
something
free
I
to-
want to talk about that happened at the Sony
We're
state
not
of
going to be
play.
able to avoid that. We'll get to that. So I just picked a few from Sony ones, the ones that, like, to me, these aren't my personal favorites because they're not my interest, but I think these are the ones people are talking about most. So we did have, I think, was the Sony one, was that our first look at the IO James Bond game?
It was actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was my highlight. That was my highlight.
That was announced a while ago, and they've been cooking, and so now, like, what were you guys' thoughts on that one? I don't know if any, like, I'm a big Hitman fan.
Yeah,
for the new
okay.
Hitman games.
I first of all, I should say that I don't really have any emotional investment in James Bond whatsoever, so I'm not the target audience. And I'm told that the new James Bond is very book accurate, but to me, he looks like the default male option in a video game character creator before you've given him any features. He just looks like,
He looks like John.
Saying this, he's an actual actor. like it's so fun. Like, I've seen this come up several times. Like, he is somebody that is an actual actor. Like, he is a real person.
Like,
No, that's just
my
what it looks
my
like.
first thought and like my takeaway from what Sarah's saying is, like, it was a chance to kind of bring a bit more representation to the world of James Bond, right? And,
Absolutely, I do agree. I just think it's funny when people criticize the character design of a character that is just a scanned
like a person.
actor.
I just
But
want to
yeah,
get.
Some
no,
people
it-
said he was looking like Tom Cruise ass. And
I
it's
just want,
like,
I want to give a quick shout out to my very good friend Austin Lee Matthews in chat, who is the voice of Roche in Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth. I did not know, Austin, that you were Ronfar in Lunar 2. As I stated the other day, I went back and I played it, and I was like, holy shit, that is fucking Austin. What the fuck? Like that. I wish I'd have known that while I was playing the game. I'll just say that. Yeah. So,
yeah, so like real quick, like I think you know, a lot of people assumed there'd be some Hitman and James Bond because there is a lot of crossover there, and I think yeah, I think it mostly looked like what people were expecting or hoping for. It had some of those. It's really hard to tell till we see some raw gameplay, but it also had what you expect from Bond, which is the big set pieces, the car chases, the fast action stuff. Seems like a blend between those two. So I wasn't that impressed with the trailer, to be honest, but I'm optimistic about it, and it wasn't a bad showing by any means.
I thought it was, real quick, I'll just say, I thought it was a good trailer. I was a little more optimistic. I will also freely admit that I'm a sucker for the musical theme of On Her Majesty's Secret Service. Extraordinarily underrated theme. It's the best theme, don't at me, so that was the correct choice. I like that it's a young Bond. I like that it's, you know, serious, but not too serious. They're not afraid to show, like, hey, he has a laser watch. You know, that's fun. That kind of thing is fun. Main thing for me is I just want to see how they lean into, like, the social, suave, seductive espionage side of Bond, because that is
it was a very action-heavy trailer, right?
It's an action-heavy trailer, and they need to show they can do action because Hitman isn't known for that. So like that's fine. I totally get it, but yeah.
What I'm hoping that they take inspiration from for the new Bond game, and again, like if there was ever a studio that was born to develop a James Bond game, it's the studio that puts up the Hitman games, right?
That I will agree with. Yeah.
I am really hoping that they take a lot of, since we're talking about a young Bond, I'm a huge James Bond fan. I own all the movies. I'm really hoping they take cues from my favorite Bond movie, which is Casino Royale, which featured a younger, raw, like, you know, newer Bond who was fresher. He was rough around the edges. He was a little more violent. He was unexperienced, and he was still learning. He was still learning.
Game, am I wrong? This game is him earning his license, is it not?
Something like that, yeah.
The game opens with him basically almost being kicked out of the Navy and MI6 taking a risk and saying, you know what, maybe you're perfect. So,
okay, yeah.
And also to that note about Casino Royale, real quick, I'll just note that Hitman has a free DLC where you can go after Le Chiffre.
Go after Le
now.
Chiffre.
It's actually really good. It's
Kill Mads
really
Mikkelsen.
good.
Look, I gotta
It's
tell
really
you,
well done. You can play
by the way,
Pokemon
man,
game and everything.
By the way, man, look, dude, I'm a 100%. I'm a straight guy. Mads Mikkelsen is a handsome motherfucker. That is a handsome man, dude.
Handsome man.
Like, dude, the beard. Like, I wish my beard looked that good. Like,
Yeah.
Mads
He's
Mikkelsen's fucking got it going
weird,
on.
thing going on where it's like,
Yeah.
you look really weird, but I'm into it.
Yeah, it's like
like a
you
Steve Buscemi, or just
you look like you want to kill me, but you're gonna do it in a way that you're also gonna pull me in for your embrace. Like,
Yeah.
Mads Mikkelsen is just a handsome motherfucker, dude.
Yeah, make him James Bond. I don't care that he was already in Casino Royale as a villain.
Yeah, change it up. Hey, Sam, quick question. Did you happen to see anything else while you were at the IO Interactive stuff? Was there
I saw
anything else?
Mind's Eye.
Oh!
We don't have time for Mind's Eye.
We don't have time. That's the end of my thoughts on Mind's Eye.
I'm streaming that fucking game this weekend. I don't give a shit. I have to.
You know
fucking
what?
Play this.
We can do a stream for that. John loves to stream bad games. This is the game he was born to stream.
I can't fucking wait. I can't fucking wait.
We gotta move on. So I guess one of the other biggest announcements, and John, we'll get to yours, was a new Marvel fighting game from Arc System Works. Guilty Gear, I believe, developer. Like, I'm not the fighting game guy.
No,
I don't know how many people are on here, but like, you know, between Marvel Rivals, Marvel's, they hit it big with that one, and like a Marvel fighting game. I don't know what the ceiling is for fighting games, but like obviously Street Fighter does well. We've got Virtua Fighter coming back. Like, this could be big. This is a big deal, even though if it's not personally for me.
Well, it's also from the team that did Dragon Ball Fighters.
Oh shit! Okay, that game did insanely good.
It did extraordinarily well on the competitive scene and as a mainstream game. Like, that is basically why this game is happening.
Yeah.
I'm not even a big fighting guy too, but that game really did catch my eye. I've always just been a big fan, and this is something that Marvel has finally loosened up on in recent years, like letting these teams create their own versions of the characters, like really unique, interesting takes on the character designs. And it was something that they emphasized in the dev diary that they showed at the end of the state of play. They initially had done some more standard designs, and Marvel kind of sent them back and was like, no, we want to see what you want to do. And so that kind of had the whole thought process around the game changed to be like, hey, we're going to do this as a Japanese team and like really focus on doing something very Japanese with these characters, which I think was a really, really cool, refreshing way to hear somebody talk about one of these licensed games.
I agree.
And so like, and that was neat because it was different than the typical, I grew up with these characters and I get to work with them kind of thing. It's like, no, we want to have like a interesting cultural take on this as well, which I thought was I thought it was super neat, and it was a really compelling pitch for me.
For sure. I don't know. Did anyone else have anything to say on that before?
No, I agree with Justin 100%.
Yeah.
Like,
It looked beautiful. It looked fun.
great.
I'm excited.
So the game, this is like obviously the biggest deal of the show is it's a they're calling it a remaster of a very popular. I don't know, John. You what?
Yeah. Let me got it. Hey, let me step in here real quick for this one. All right, this is the moment I was born for. So, years and years ago, we had an NVIDIA leak where a bunch of fucking games were listed out, and everything in the leak came true, except for 2 games, right? Final Fantasy IX Remake and Final Fantasy Tactics Remaster. Right.
There was more than that.
What?
That didn't
nothing else
materialize.
matters, Justin. Nothing else matters.
I think from the square part of that list, I think that.
Oh,
was
from the
it.
square part, yeah. But
Yeah.
in general, there was more than that.
Final Fantasy Tactics is the Game of Thrones of video game stories, and if you've never played it, it is one of the most. It has more political intrigue and backstabbing and double crossing.
Twitter account?
Absolutely, 110%. Final Fantasy Tactics to this day, specifically the War of the Lions retranslation that was done in 2008, is one of the greatest video game stories ever told. If you've never played it, you are in for an absolute fucking treat. The ending of Final Fantasy Tactics, I first played it when it came out in, I think it was 1999 on the 1999 on PlayStation 1. The ending of that game, like the final scene of the post-credit sequence of that game, has stuck with me. It is one of the most devastating, fucking affecting scenes in any video game I have ever played. On top of the fact that it is a brilliantly conducted or constructed tactical video game. It has one of, I consider actually the best cast of characters in any Final Fantasy game. And yes, I think it has a better cast of characters than Final Fantasy VI, my favorite video game of all time. Sam, have you played Final Fantasy Tactics?
No, but I will with this. I will pick this remaster up. You have my word.
Sarah, have you played Final Fantasy Tactics?
Okay, you know the answer to this because the day of the Sony presentation, you were DMing me frantically about this game. And I said,
It's weird. He was also frantically DMing.
I was frantically DMing everyone.
smashing keyboards and seeing what.
Okay, all right, that's right. You have so Sarah understands. I called Britt. She's right. I called Britt. I was like, Britt. I have been. I was watching the presentation at my computer here, and I may have knocked everything off my fucking desk. I will neither confirm nor deny, but Final Fantasy Tactics is such a special fucking video game, and it is one of those gems that Square just seemed to refuse to acknowledge for years. And so the fact that we are getting not just a remaster, but a remaster that is fully voice acted and Ben Starr is actually one of the villains in this game.
Oh, that.
So it'll be It'll be interesting to see Ben Starr as Dysadarg Beowulf.
Okay.
But yeah, no, that's the character he's playing is Dysadarg. But I am so, and it's coming out. It's on September 30th. Like it's just a few months away,
It's soon.
and
I'm happy for you, John. Genuinely,
I-
give me shit, but I'm happy for you.
This is one of my favorite games of all time. My top 3 favorite games, and other than Final Fantasy VI and Chrono Trigger, which I still haven't gotten yet, this is what I wanted to come back. This is what I wanted to come back, and I have so many fond memories of this game, and I'm just so fucking happy that not just that I can play it again on a modern system, but that other people. Sorry, but that other people can sit down and experience what is probably the greatest narrative ever told in any video game story. I'm so grateful and happy that's such an integral part of my younger years is being made relevant again.
I'm glad this makes you so
Oh,
happy.
yeah.
Sorry.
I'm excited about it. I
No, you're
played
good.
No,
Sims.
do not apologize. Do not.
Yeah, don't apologize.
awesome.
We all have feelings for people.
That's the power. This is the power of games and storytelling. Is right that they can
Really is.
affect you this way. Like that's it's a good thing.
Yeah,
I'm
For sure.
definitely.
I'm incredibly excited for this release, specifically because when I first tried playing the original Final Fantasy Tactics on PS1, that original localization was not great. I was pretty young at the time. I had a lot of trouble wrapping my head around it. What I did
Yeah.
What I did play quite a bit, I actually played the 2 Tactics Advance games a few years later.
Oh,
on
those are
Game Boy
really
Advance.
good. Especially yeah.
And I burnt hours in those games. Like, just time disappeared for like weeks on end when I played those games. But I always wanted to play the original Tactics, and I have never gotten a chance to actually like really get into it. And you know, them doing an updated localization with full voice acting, I am so excited to finally be able to dig into this. Because I was missing that of all the Final Fantasy Tactics games. So, very excited about this.
Well, and I want to point out something that Britt said in chat real quick, and then we'll move on. The story of Tactics, which is a downtrodden people rising up against a ruling class that fucking hates them and has done nothing but use them, is more relevant now. Like, I don't know if you saw Matsuno's statement.
Matsuno's statement was so good.
Was fucking incredible. Like Matsuno made it very clear which side of the fence he sits on. And Final Fantasy Tactics is a game about disaffected people rising up and forging their own destiny against a ruling class on both sides that simply could not care less about them. So the
We
story
need that right now.
we absolutely need that right now. So yeah, that's and sorry, I'll get off my Final Fantasy Tactics soapbox now, but I'm so fucking excited. I'm so fucking happy. I'm so fucking happy.
Oh yeah.
And it's just like it's always great to see. I mean, people get a little weird about remasters, remakes, and stuff. Like especially a game like this, it's always great to see an old game made available again in some
Yeah.
form, right? To keep that forward, to keep it accessible to modern audiences on modern hardware, for sure. All right, so we're winding down on time. We're gonna have to make some decisions here. So the Xbox show is next. There was some interesting stuff from there. I think. Let's talk. So there was like a Persona 4 remake. We don't need like that one was leaked. We don't need to say much. It's a big deal.
Yeah, I mean it was like
exciting.
it was like
We
a
don't know
50.
much about it.
Yeah, I mean thanks to
Yeah.
Yuri Lowenthal, we all knew it was coming. So
We'll circle back to that if we have time. I was interested to hear if anyone, maybe Sam or someone wants to elaborate on Clockwork Revolution. I think that's one of the more interesting pieces to come out of this.
Yeah, so Clockwork Revolution was my favorite trailer out of this whole summer season. It was also the longest trailer at the Xbox show. So it's over 5 minutes long. If you haven't seen it, I encourage you to go back and check it out. But Clockwork Revolution is a first-person RPG being made by In Exile Entertainment. If you don't know who In Exile is, they make the Wasteland games. They're one half of the old Black Isle crew. Black Isle split off into In Exile and then Obsidian. So it is funny that both halves are there, but they didn't like they become their own distinct things. But it's set in like a steampunk city, very very heavy like any kind of
Dishonored
steampunk.
vibes.
Yeah, a little bit of Dishonored, definitely a little bit of
I
Dishonored in
definitely
there.
got that vibe just from the aesthetic.
Yeah, a tiny bit of Bioshock, just like a little bit of flavor. But the key idea here is that the ruling class has come into power by manipulating time. They have something that has allowed them to go back and change the mistakes they made and maneuver themselves into control. And your character, who is named Morgan, but you can be anyone, man, woman, anything like that. You can customize yourself. You can be tall. You can be strong. You can be agile and skinny, like anything like that. It's a proper RPG. Morgan steals this like a fraction of the time device and starts learning how to manipulate time. And so that's the core gameplay loop is you can have all these different cool steampunk weapons, but you can also, rewind like, oh, did you take a fatal hit? Just rewind it so it didn't happen. You can shoot someone and then pull the bullet back through their head. It's very, very cool. A lot of fun ideas there. But the thing that has me the most interested that I don't think a lot of people know is this is the old Troika crew as well that worked on Vampire the Masquerade, like Chad Moore and a lot of those guys who made that game like the real systemic reaction-y RPG that it is, and that's why people love it so much. They're the ones doing top-level design.
Now you just activated me, Sam, because
Right.
The Masquerade Bloodline, like, it's a shame what happened to Bloodlines too. I got no faith. Like I hope it turns out good. But
I'm not even going to talk about that right now.
Yeah, but that's awesome to hear, and it's a really good fit for what you're saying for the game. That's super exciting.
By Bloodlines, were you talking about the Vampire the Masquerade?
The original Vampire.
The original. Okay, yeah, all right.
Like it's a lot of those old graybeards.
Gotcha.
Who are,
Okay.
like, working on this that In Exile has hired, and yeah, it's very cool. Seriously, go watch the trailer. If you didn't watch the trailer yet, it's probably my favorite trailer out of the show. It doesn't have a release date yet. I will say that trailer is very in depth for something that does not officially have a year, and I'm pretty darn. I would take a bet that it's out next year. I definitely would.
I think they're probably confident in it. They're just figuring out where they want to fit it in terms of schedule.
Yeah, I think Xbox is kind of in a position with some of the stuff that they're publishing where
it's every month they've got something. Like they have a luxury that
so much
Nintendo has now. Yeah,
they've got so much stuff releasing that I think sometimes they just have to pace out what they have.
No, that's absolutely correct. I've absolutely been told that from people there. Yes, John, go ahead.
No, can I say something about the Xbox conference? I want to. I quickly want to touch on not what was there, but what wasn't there, because I think that bears a quick mention. I thought overall I thought it was a good conference. I thought Sony's was better, but that's by no means Xbox had a bad conference, because they didn't. It was a good conference. There was some very glaring omissions that I was genuinely surprised not to see. There was no State of Decay 3.
Right, I agree on that one.
There was State of Decay 3 was the one that really surprised me. Because like the developer even had like a tease on their Instagram like a few days before it.
Like there was nothing, no Fable.
I'm less surprised about that one because ever since it was delayed, I felt confident that it was going to be like part of the direct that they do early in.
Not a single mention of Halo, anything. Halo, nothing.
Well, that's not surprising because like we know what's going on with that studio, right?
Right.
So far.
But I figured you would.
That team has to rebuild, and that's going to be a completely different studio.
Like they basically went back to the drawing board, right? Like, and then they laid off.
Unless I'm mistaken, like maybe I don't remember. I didn't see any Forza at all.
Well,
I don't think there was a need for Forza, and also Phil Spencer explicitly said a new Forza is coming next year. Spoiler alert: it's Forza Horizon 6. I'll just go.
Forza shows up when Forza needs to show up.
Exactly.
I don't think
Forza does not need to be shown a year in advance.
There was a lack of, like, State of Decay 3 is the one that really shocked me by not being there. Like I was like, whoa! I was like, where is this?
And
I also would have expected to see. I also would have expected to see Gears E-Day. Like
that's another one. Yeah,
like,
shit, dude.
Like going over the list, like I didn't think all of those games were going to be there, but I thought like 2 of like the ones that we've discussed would have shown up, and I was surprised that many were not.
I agree. I think the choice, and I'm not saying this doesn't warrant criticism because I think it does, because I explicitly told, like, when some of the guys from Xbox were asking me immediately after I said B, like, I would rate this as a B. But like, I think the conscious choice was made. We have so much stuff coming out this year. Let's just mostly focus on what is out this year. And then, we have 5 minutes. We can show off Clockwork Revolution. But
That's fair.
I do agree. Like, State of Decay 3 is the one that sticks in my mind. I would have shown State of Decay 3. I would have made effort to have that. But I agree. I definitely agree with all that.
I want to. Jeff, real quick. I want to go ahead. I was going to throw something to Sarah, but go ahead real quick.
No, I was just gonna throw to our last topic because we got 8 minutes. But yeah, if you got something, let's do it.
I do have something I want to throw at Sarah, and then I want Sam's take on this. I thought, again, with the understanding that the Xbox conference I thought was strong. This has got to be one of the weirdest One More Thing reveals I've ever seen.
It's always Call of Duty, isn't it?
No,
I think
like not at all.
I think this, like,
Oh, sorry. At the Activision Blizzard conferences, it's always Call of Duty.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes
And
sense.
they used to open with Call of Duty back in the 3 days.
But I mean, like, Call of Duty as a closer actually does make sense.
I don't know.
The One More Thing framing is, I think, what gets people. Because
it's all about the message.
Because
that's a loaded phrase.
Yeah, and like the people that watch like these conferences live,
they're looking for that dream game, like that old franchise, that reboot, like that intent, that thing that everyone's whispered about, right?
Like
they're not
a new IP from a celebrated developer, something that we haven't seen for a long time coming back. Like that framing and like that phrase has always been a thing at these conferences.
Agreed.
And so, like, I think just the messaging around it.
Like, it's not that they ended with Call of Duty; it's how they set it up, right?
Like, if they had just done a different intro for it, I don't think it would have gone over as
no, that's what I mean. And like Sarah, you were in the room, right? Like, so, like, I feel like the energy of being like, we have one more thing to show you, and then showing a Call of Duty game is kind of like lets the air out of the room a little bit, like.
No, I would agree with that characterization. And the same thing was happening in my Discord chat. It's like, what, one more thing? Geez. It's all about how they said it. Like, no shade to Call of Duty. If you like Call of Duty, I'm very happy for you. But, like, you can't, if like you guys said, you can't say one more thing and then have it be
gotta read the room, right?
Of a game
read
that
the room.
comes out every year.
And that's kind of where I'm at. Like, Sam, did you have anything you wanted to add real quick before we move on? Like, about
not on that game.
Okay. Jeff,
right,
please.
Yeah, we got to talk about it, especially because we talked about RA9 tonight. So Konami had their little showcase this morning. There's some good stuff in there. I think Silent Hill F, they had a little bit, but like I think the big takeaway from that is they announced at the very end a Silent Hill remake from Bluebird Studio.
And this is to be clear. No, to be clear, like this is like they clarified on the website. This is Silent Hill 1. Yeah. This is a remake of the first.
Not
game.
like a reboot or anything like that.
No, it's a straight up remake. I would assume in the same vein as Silent Hill 2.
Silent Hill 1 needed it more. But I understand. I think everyone understands why they did too, because games cost money, you need to sell them, and Silent Hill 2 has the pedigree to do that. You can bring in that old audience, but also bring in those new fans with the modern entry. Now those new fans are like, oh, I want to see where it started. I want to see the first game. I think it's very clever how they did that.
But also, like as a longtime Silent Hill fan, Silent Hill 2 stands alone from 1 and 3. And I feel like if you're gonna doing 2 makes sense doing 2 first makes sense, and then doing 1 and then 3, because those stories are also, 3 is essentially sequel to 1. So
2 is so complex, especially narratively. Like if you can do 2, you can do 1.
Absolutely,
right? Like
yeah. And anybody who hasn't played Silent Hill is about to be introduced to the best video game dad of all time. Harry Mason fucking rules. That is a Harry Mason is fucking great, Sarah.
Just wants his daughter.
He just wants his daughter back, and I don't want to throw any shade to Bloober Team, but in the past their games were middling at best, I would say, and they
I
go ahead.
Bet against I counterpicked the Silent Hill 2 remake in my gaming fantasy league because
So did
of
I.
its reputation, and I
So
got
So did
I.
Justin.
owned. I got so screwed.
That was I said it before. Like that was like the most crow I have ever eaten on a game.
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
Oh, we all
yeah,
did.
but-
Justin, we
but
all
I'm
did.
glad this is great. I
Like,
want it to be really good.
Yeah.
I'm so
It's great
glad
to
I
eat
was
crow
wrong.
sometimes, right?
Like, I was
it's great
so
when we're
glad I
wrong
was
and
wrong.
games are good. Yeah.
I honestly, and I think Sam, you, me, and Jeff talked about this at one point, but like, I'm not sure I've ever eaten crow the way I did on Silent Hill 2. Like, I just don't think I have. And
I find that hard to believe because you are wrong.
It's like the third time tonight, John's. Right.
good lord, God, the animosity here is just overwhelming. I'm right every now and then. But no, like, I mean, Sarah does make a good point, but no, like, I was stunned at the quality of Silent Hill 2. So Jeff, if you had told me a year and a half ago, yeah, Bloober Team is remaking Silent Hill 1, I'd be like, oh fuck. I'd be like, Jesus Christ. Now I have nothing but excitement. Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's such a good feeling.
It'll be it's gonna be interesting to see, like, Silent Hill 2, they put a little bit of their own spin on it as well. So I think even with 1, just because it doesn't have quite the same legacy as 2, I think they've got a little bit more freedom there to. I don't know how much needs to be changed, but I wouldn't be surprised to see them take that even further, right? Like, Silent Hill was very, very true to the original. I still think this one will be faithful, but I wouldn't be shocked, and I hope they have the confidence and the ability to kind of just, expand it even more, because I think there is room for that in the original game. I think there's room to
I
toy
do.
with it a bit.
Absolutely.
I think
and
so.
also,
and
just more broadly, if I can just say this real quick,
please.
it's like, I don't know, it feels really good to actually be excited about Silent Hill in
Yes,
general.
right?
yes.
In general, yeah.
My God, that was a rough
Yeah.
period of time, y'all.
Dude,
I'm
we don't-
still bitter about Silent Hill.
We'll always be
Let that
bitter.
go.
Always what could have been. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm
We
not
don't-
asking anyone to let go of the grudge there, but like between Silent Hill 2 remake, Silent Hill F looks
Oh,
real
it looks
good
so
on what
fucking
they've
good,
shown.
dude.
And now, obviously,
And that's out in a
this is-
couple months.
And that's,
Yeah.
that's out in September.
We've come a long way since Homecoming and Downpour. Like,
We've come a long
I
way
was
since that
thinking that
streaming
I-
show thing from a couple years
Oh,
back.
yeah.
Don't remind me.
I was thinking that I played Homecoming, and I can't tell you a single thing that happens in it. It just
That's for the best.
completely.
It was one of the most forgettable nothing burger games I've ever played. And Downpour was even worse. I just thought Downpour was a terrible fucking game. But no, Sam hit the nail on the head. It is good to be excited about Silent Hill again. It's now all people got to do is remake Fatal Frame 2 and the trilogy, like the trifecta of classic horror games, Resident Evil 4, Silent Hill 2, and Fatal Frame 2, which I consider to be 3 of the greatest horror games ever made. All we got to do is remake Fatal Frame 2 now. But yeah, like it's weird as fuck to see Konami like on the upswing, because for so many years we were shit, and I still think there have been some grave missteps. Like that new HD 2D Suikoden game is a fucking mobile gotcha. Don't get me started on that shit. Like, I don't understand that one. But like, I think the only thing missing from today's Konami presentation, Jeff, was Metal Gear Solid Volume 2. Like, where the fuck is that?
I'm not surprised to not see it there, because, like, especially I think a lot of people are like, okay, Volume 2 has got to be like, it's got to have 4 in there. Like, or at the very least it has 5. But if you do 5, like, it's the other one, like, just to close it all off, like, 4 is such a big piece of it, right? Like, it's hard to imagine doing these collections without Forts on it, but the amount of work it takes to get 4 to a modern platform, like, it almost has to be a remake, right?
Yeah.
Like, so I'm not
a lot of
surprised
work.
if that needs more time.
I
The only
imagine-
way I could
One
see it
thing,
is if 4 was in a volume 3 and they left it out of 2. Like, that's how I could see it coming sooner.
I imagine you got to include like Portable Ops and Peace Walker and
Peace Walker.
Peace Walker's canon, yeah.
Peace Walker
Yeah.
has to be, like, and that's obviously going to go with 5, because, like, those are so tightly
Peace
connected.
Walker leads directly into 5. Yeah. like-
Yeah.
I think it just needs more time. It just needs
There's going to
more
be Acid
One
fans
thing-
that are mad those aren't there. Like, no disrespect to Acid, but I don't know. Those ones
One-
probably would. Yeah.
One thing, though, that Konami still has to do is do something with Castlevania.
I was just about to say that, Justin.
the
For
fact
the
that
love of Christ, yes.
like
Just
they
about
had-
to say that.
they've
Yep.
had multiple seasons of the TV show and nothing that
Which
and the
has
TV show was
been-
well received.
Two TV
Two
shows.
TV shows.
Yeah, and they have been
they haven't even had anything to tie in.
wildly successful TV shows, and
Yeah.
it just like Symphony of the Night is still locked on PlayStation, which is fucking crazy to me.
Because
Just-
Konami lost the source code
That's
and Sony
fucking
had to bail
incredible.
them out.
That's incredible. Just do I was certain the last thing today was going to be like, oh, it's going to be Castlevania. We're getting a new 2D Castlevania, which would fit because we're getting a new 2D Shinobi. We're getting a new 2D Ninja Gaiden. It's got to be like Konami's got to see that and be like, oh yeah, let's do Castlevania. Nothing.
You know, like I agree, but I also can understand they were away from like these real traditional games for a long time, and I can also respect them taking their time. You know, make sure they're financially successful, right? Like they're well received, they're actually being profitable, right? And they're starting with Silent Hill, they're doing Metal Gear Solid again. Like I think they'll get to Castlevania, but it's weird because there was a report, I think from VGC or someone, there was a report that broke that Konami was returning to games, and I believe it actually said they were going to start with Castlevania. So obviously
that,
things can
yeah.
change, and that may not have been entirely accurate, but it is surprising that seems to end up being the last one.
It just
to come back.
it's like you've got these two super successful Netflix shows based on Castlevania.
Yeah.
Like it kind of makes sense to do a fucking Castlevania game, but you know, what do I know?
We're not in marketing, John. We
yeah.
don't understand these things.
We have reached the end of our time together here tonight. We are already past our bedtime, so it's time for us to start winding down and logging off. Great conversation tonight, Jeff. We hit everything. We hit everything that we wanted to. It was another successful episode. Thank you so much to our friends Sam Tolbert and Sarah LaBeouf. I am so happy. One, that you guys were able to get to Summer Games Fest, and two, that you guys survived being at Summer Games Fest, given everything happening in Los Angeles right now. And I just, to kind of piggyback off of that, I meant to say this at the beginning, but this podcast stands in solidarity with immigrants across this nation. What's happening right now is a travesty of the mind and the heart, all at the hands of an oppressive government. So this podcast stands solidly behind the incredible immigrant community that we have in the United States.
I'd like to add to that because I actually live in Los Angeles, and I know I'm probably preaching to the choir here, but Los Angeles is not a war zone. There was some
It's
peaceful
fine.
protests,
Yeah.
and the only ones showing any violence were the fucking cops and the feds. Like, everyone else was just peacefully protesting in a very, very small area of the map, a very, very large city. None of this was happening near us at Summer Game Fest. It's not like we were, dodging gunfire and seeing burning buildings. I was at several rooftop parties last weekend, and everything looked perfectly normal. But to watch the news, you'd think the entire city's on fire.
Yep.
It is not.
The curfew zone is like something like 2 miles of downtown LA, and like even there,
Something
there's
like
nothing
that, yeah.
happening. Yeah.
It's all the only reason the National Guard and the Marines are there is because they want conflict. The government wants it. The government wants a conflict.
100%.
But that's a conversation for another time. But we absolutely stand with immigrants in this country, and so our heart goes out to every disaffected group of people in America, which right now are pretty much anybody who doesn't look like me, which sucks. It's fucking bullshit, and we shouldn't stand for it. That is all the time we have today. Thank you again to Sam and Sarah for joining us, longtime friends of the podcast, and we know that you guys will be back very soon. And in fact, a word on that real quick, Jeff. In the coming weeks, we are going to have a rotating panel of guests every week, so expect to see a lot of the same faces kind of rotating in and out of a third or fourth chair. As the podcast moves forward, we have a lot of cool stuff planned near the end of the year. Obviously, we have our fundraiser. We're still going to do the fundraiser this year. I don't know if whether or not people come here to me or I go somewhere to them or we do it remotely. We're still going to do the fundraiser like we do every year. We're going to have a great time doing it. We got a lot of cool games coming out to talk about. Obviously, Final Fantasy Tactics comes out September 30th. Everyone should go pick that up. And with that, if nobody has anything else, please remember, guys, take care of each other, take care of yourselves, stay safe out there, and we will see you right here next week at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.